All right, once again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching me from. Welcome to iReact 254. I'm a founder Junior. This is how we do it twice a week. And this is season 1, episode 2 of iReact 254. So get comfy because on iReact 254, what do? We look at the craziest TikTok videos of the week. Let's go.
I think I found one.
What?
What's that, you ask? A fallen angel. And I'm not even kidding. First, I want to show you something. I asked Google, are fallen angels here on Earth? Yes, fallen angels are believed to be here on Earth, but not in their original angelic forms. Now I want to show you something. And maybe you've seen this, and maybe you haven't. There are all sorts of historic pictures that match up to current day celebrities. But I want to show you one in particular. I want to focus on a very specific one, a lesser known one you might not even know. This one, right here. His name is Sam Tripoli, and he is the host of the most popular conspiracy podcast in the whole world. And this is Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon, who lived during the 1500s and was said to sometimes be immortal or to have maybe faked his death. Francis Bacon, who is potentially known for starting Freemasonry. Francis Bacon, who looks exactly like Sam Tripoli. And maybe right now you're saying, you did this video already, I've seen it, but hold on, because I found some very interesting and telling new things. And first, just in case you didn't see the first video, let me show you how much Francis Bacon and Sam Tripoli just happened to look.
Okay.
Exactly like. And Sam, well, he happened to mention my name on an episode where they were talking about Francis Bacon. And I'm known for the guy that recognizes when people look alike. And look at their noses even. If those aren't exact noses and eyes, I don't know what is. And here's where the oh-so-fun part comes into play. Because, well, you know how they like to tell us the truth, right? They will tell us the truth. They kind of have to. It's part of their arrangement. They got to tell us so they don't impact our free will. Kind of like they do here with devil horns, and we'll get to the Raiders hat, but Los Angeles, and it's upside down. It's a falling falling angels. And the Raiders hat? Well, the Raiders hat always has the one eye symbolism. So like I said, they have to tell us. But this is the fun part. His name is Samuel Tripoli. Samuel Tripoli. And let me show you something. And remember, I'm saying he's Francis Bacon. So Sam Tripoli. And when you look at bacon, there's a type of bacon called AAA pork bacon. It's a type of bacon that's considered high quality. So you wouldn't call that 3A, but maybe triple A. So triple A just happens to be a type of bacon. Triple A, or you could say triple E if you were, cutting corners and saying it a little differently. Triple A, triple E, triple A, triple E, but there's more. Remember, they have to tell us. And he is Francis, and he is Samuel. And well, Samuel Francis just happened to invent the spork. The spork. Now, get rid of the S. Samuel Francis. Francis Bacon. Samuel AAA Bacon. And he invented the spork. The pork, the spork. They're telling us right in plain sight. And remember this part where I asked Google about the fallen angels being here, and it says, yes, they're wandering the earth and seeking to tempt humanity. Well, do you know what Sam advertises a lot on his podcast? Why don't we take a listen?
Guys, we are in dire straits right now. The world population is plummeting, and the only way to fix it is to hump our way out, okay? Rock hard boners. Let me tell you about Blue Chew and why they love America. Let me tell you.
It just so happens Sam wants me to come explain this on his show. Who is that pictured with me? He knows it's Francis Bacon. He knows he's Francis Bacon. He wouldn't have me come explain this on his ever so popular show if I was just talking nonsense. He literally wouldn't have me come talk about utter nonsense on his show. He wants people to know. He wants me to explain it, and he wants to say, that's a very interesting theory. Wink, wink, wink. But I don't agree with it. Wink, wink, wink. He wants me on his show, so people know what I'm saying is true. But of course, all this for entertainment, people. I'm sure these are just rock-on symbols, and that has no symbolism. An upside-down angelus in the one eye there. It's just a Raiders thing. Just like I know there's also no true conspiracy to hide how much of a spiritual realm we're in, to hide the fact that God exists, because if you knew God exists, you would know the Bible was true. If you knew the Bible was true, you would know fallen angels are true. And if you knew fallen angels were true, well, you would know them when you see them, like I know them when I see them. And remember this whole thing in the beginning? Well, it's part of the reason they faked their deaths. That's Andy Kaufman faked his death. And as Nicolas Cage, because you would see that he's not aging like a normal human being. You would see things that didn't seem right to you. You would see things that might wake you up to the fact you're being lied to. You would see things that might open you up to the Heavenly Father smiling down, hoping you will just look up to him and say thank you for this beautiful world we live in and this beautiful life. And it would cause you to not fall for the blue chew temptations that these fallen angels are getting most of us to fall for.
What are those?
Entertainment only, people. Have a good day. Oh, and I'll let them finish coming perfectly together.
Did you know that the deepest place on Earth is hidden behind this unremarkable lid in Russia? It is the world's deepest hole in the ground, and its depth is 12,262 meters. It is even deeper than the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean, which is 10,994 meters deep. In 1984, the Russians began drilling the Earth at a secret site called the Super Deep Kola Well. But the most terrible thing began to happen when the drill was at a depth of 12,262 meters. The whole point is that at this depth, this strange, scary sound was recorded.
12,262 meters.
And many believe that Russian geologists literally drilled the Earth to hell. According to official data, drilling was stopped allegedly because of the breakage of the drill at a depth of 12 kilometers. But according to unofficial data, geologists are very frightened of the fact that they got to hell. The most interesting thing is that the same sound was recorded recently in this place that resembles a passage to hell. This place is located in the United States, on the site of the city of Centralia, which has been engulfed by an underground fire since 1962 year.
Did you know Lagos isn't even a Nigerian name? Yes. The name Lagos is actually Portuguese. It means lakes or lagoons. In the 1400s, when Portuguese explorers landed on the coast of what we now call Nigeria, they were struck by the waterways, rivers, and lagoons they saw around the region. So naturally, they gave it a familiar name, Lagos, after a coastal city back in southern Portugal. But long before any European ship docked on its shores, Lagos already had a name. It was called Echo. Echo was the heartbeat of the Awari people, a subgroup of the Yoruba who had settled there centuries earlier. The name Echo came to prominence during the reign of Oba Ado, a Benin prince who ruled the land in the early 17th century after being sent by his father, the Oba of Benin. So while Europeans came with their maps and new names, the people had already built lives, communities, and kingdoms. So when you say Lagos, you're actually speaking a colonial legacy, a name given by outsiders who saw the land through foreign eyes. But when you say Echo, you call the land by the name our ancestors gave it. And yet Lagos, or Echo, is now more than a name. It's a symbol, a city of hustle, chaos, beauty, and contradiction. It holds centuries of stories, from colonization to independence, from royalty to revolution, from cultural pride to urban pressure. So yes, Lagos may have a Portuguese passport, but Echo carries its soul. Repost this and let people know. Let's remind ourselves of who we were before we were renamed.
I mean, don't we get to learn a lot when we look at the histories of this, our culture, especially our African culture? And my apologies for all the noise, for all the creaking of the doors and all that, because there's a lot of movement in the studio, so there's a lot of noise from the doors and all that. But don't you think that there is all this that we get from the history, that we learn every day from these new creators and all these historians who are giving us more perspectives on what we didn't know about our culture, maybe about African roots?
We not lions, we not slaves, we not niggas, bitch, we kings. We the Hebrews, we the Moors, the Indians, and everything. We was the Egyptians, Native Americans, give a fuck about what they say. They change our history and our culture, we don't even know our names. Mansa Musa, Shaka Zulu, Haile Selassie, Akhenaten, King Tut. We got Anubis, black power, they can't stop us. We was ruling Europe way before Queen Elizabeth. Why they acting like we create everything they use today? Science, astronomy, astrology, math, that's the least that I can say. We created paper, music, medicine, books, plenty more things that we need. Go read about Tartarian Empire, then you might get the picture. They tried to erase our history so we could think we just a nigga. All you gotta do is be yourself, being great is in our blood. The code is in our DNA, so just create straight out of love. All that YN shit is dead, cause we is kings, so come and king. We royal warriors of the planet, might be a new time, but nothing changed.
There is a majestic sentence, one that never needs to leave your mind, for it requires no lips to cast its spell. Yet it will shatter a king, and humble a mighty pharaoh. A sentence so powerful, it will bring you to tears when you're happy, and make you laugh when you're broken. It will reverse the weight of love. Even fear cannot withstand its contemplation, for it will render everything impermanent. Not pain, not joy, not even you can resist its flow. So if you are struggling, hold on. And if you are winning, stay humble. And if you truly understand, you will set yourself free. Because in the end, all things bow to these words. This, too, shall pass.
This too shall pass. I think that's a strong one. RFK Jr. invents new way to stop people drinking Coca-Cola. Okay.
A lot of people want to know what happens when we die. And sure, you're allowed to believe in whatever comforts you. Heaven, reincarnation, spirits floating off into the stars. Cute stories, really. But if you're asking science, if you're asking the evidence, it's simple. You vanish. Gone. No lights, no tunnels, just nothing. You don't believe that? Fine. Let me explain. Ask yourself this. What was it like before you were born? You remember anything? Feel anything? No? That's exactly what feels like. Not pain, not fire, just absence. No you, just the void. And here's the real kicker. People talk about an afterlife as if it's guaranteed, like some prize for existing. But we have zero proof. Zero. All signs point to one thing. Non-existence. That's not sad, that's clarity. That means this, right now, is everything. Your breath, your choices, your time, all that matters. Not some dreamland promised after your final breath. And me? I'm not wasting a second waiting on some maybe realm. I do. I live. I build. Because once that final blink hits, game over. Just like before you ever opened your eyes. Romantic? No. Real? Very. So the question isn't what happens when you die. The question is, what are you doing while you're alive?
So you might be wondering, why was I laughing? Whoa. What was the funny laughing? Okay, my colleagues on the other side of the control room, they were making some impressions. Shout out to Judy, our ICT manager. But what do you think about all this, that beyond shout out to Beyond Realities Alive, sorry. So what do you think about all this and about afterlife? Do you believe in afterlife? Do you believe that we just vanish? Do you believe that after death nothing else happens and it's voila, and you're gone and it's all gone and nothing else happens? What do you think about what we just heard? Just drop your findings, your feelings down there in the comments. Let's share, let's discuss collective.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
I may have finally acquired the first leaked photo of the North Pole, Rupes Nigra, the Mount Meru at the center of the Earth. And I've been looking for this forever. I've been trying to figure out where I can find anything about this place. But I haven't until the guy that I spoke to on Telegram about a year ago, who told me he has been beyond the ice wall, just messaged me back after a whole year and told me that he has a leaked photo of this place that he wants to show me, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Alright, now here it is. Let me know what you guys think. But if you know, this mountain is actually supposed to be black, and this looks pretty black to me. And it isn't actually a mountain, it's a giant tree stump that got cut down. See, they call it, the scientists would call it a plateau, but it's actually a giant tree stump. You can tell by the shape of it and how flat the top of it is. That is not something that happens naturally. Now this Mount Meru at the center of the earth, it was in all the mythologies all across the earth, especially in Norse mythology. They had the giant tree. That's what this is supposed to be, and this might actually be the first photo that we've ever seen of it ever. And the reason why it is black is because it is made of pure magnesium. That's why a compass will always point to exactly north, because it's pointing to this spot.
What's that? The global array is a rare and enigmatic electrical phenomenon. It arises as a luminous sphere floating in the air during storms. It looks like it can walk. Like it's got legs or something, and it's...
Wow. You are listening to this Tartarian resonance chamber that was built to enhance cellular memory. They knew sound could unlock hidden DNA strands and extend human life far beyond today's limits. To change your life and download these Tartarian recordings, go to our page in the link tree. There you will find everything.
The effect Ozempic is having on America right now is wild. Weight Watchers, the brand that has been around for over 60 years, has just filed for bankruptcy. So they survived 5 wars, 6 financial crises, a global pandemic, but they couldn't survive Ozempic. And the craziest part is that not only are they $1 billion in debt, but at some point they just said, if you can't beat them, join them. Because they actually tried to transition from selling food and weight loss programs and turned into a telehealth service that provides access to medications like Ozempic. In fact, medications like Ozempic are so prevalent in the country right now that they are believed to be part of the reason America has actually seen its first decline in obesity in decades. Approximately 20 million people, or 6% of the American population, is now on these weight loss medications.
For any idea what the word fast really means? It means that you lock your trap shut and you stay silent for at least a week, not a word.
But I'm afraid that your oral sphincter won't be able to keep closed.
If you've ever wondered how mud could completely cover and erase the whole entire earth, then watch this video. Of course, you should know by now that all over the world we see the same thing. Stories of building under the dirt. And I hear the same question all the time. How is that possible? How could all that mud come randomly and erase everything? I'll show you in 1 second. But just so we're aware, it wasn't just mud. It was crazy earthquakes happening all over the earth, like San Francisco when it was wiped off the map. A very fervent heat. Wonder where it came from. And again, earthquakes just destroying everything. Even melting Egyptian statues. That fire had to have been awfully hot to straight up melt granite and other types of rock. But we're not talking about this part of the Earth's destruction. How could mud bury everything? Do you know how fast, how crazy, how violent mudslides can be? This was in California in 2022. Like, if that went on for like another hour or two, everything would be covered. It would only take 1 split second for everything to change, in just a few generations, for everybody to forget what had just happened. And it's about that time again.
Everything is red and blue because it symbolizes the physical world. Democrats are blue and Republicans are red. Red tap and a blue tap. A red pill and a blue pill. They want you to believe that this is the real model of the atom, because they want you to believe everything is only physical, when in fact everything is holographic, produced by electromagnetic torus fields. The electron, the proton, and the neutron. Magnetism radiates, which creates an electrical vibrational phenomena. That's why you see electrical patterns everywhere in nature. The spiral outwards is redshift, spiral back in is blue shift, and these two polarized electromagnetic flows is what gives birth to physical matter. That's why we see red and blue symbolized everywhere. Roses are red, violets are blue. Phi symbol is a torus field. Physical is phi cycle. We live in the cycle of an electromagnetic torus field. You are a giant atom. That's why you have an anatomy. You are an atom. As above, so below.
There is only one known stargate to planet Earth, and that is through the womb of the divine feminine. Without her, access is denied. She is the cosmic threshold, where light becomes flesh, where a soul puts on a spacesuit to walk the Earth, so spirit may know itself through experience. And yet, look how she's treated, polluted, controlled, forgotten, as if the gateway to life means nothing. But when you corrupt the stargate, you don't just scar a woman, you scar what comes through her. The ancients saw her rhythm. 9 months to complete the journey. 9 became sacred, so they hid the truth. Because if you protect the gateway, you protect the future. The divine feminine isn't just sacred, she is required. No womb, no world, no portal, no people. Without her, access is forever denied. Now think deeply about that.
Shout out to Paradigm Shifting M. And I mean, it cannot be overemphasized, or we cannot give overemphasis on how much people need to respect their parents, be it their fathers, be it their mothers. But I believe that we should really respect our parents. And this respect comes with the fact that, as they're saying, I believe that women are the gateway to us, to life, because we all come from our mother's womb. We all come through our mothers. So the woman is the gateway. She is the reason that you and I are here. That's why we should respect the fact that this person gave you a way to come to this earth. We'll believe differently about how we come into existence, depending on your beliefs in religion or in spirituality or in tradition and all that. Many people have different beliefs on how they come into existence on earth. But the only constant is the fact that the woman, the feminist, the feminism is the gateway to our existence, and we should always respect our women and our parents at large. So shout out to my mom and all the other beautiful women out there.
Follow if you're ready to remember.
To die, then we will die. To die, then we will die. Fighting, all as one. All as one.
Hey man, what is that? Sun out here looking like gravity gave it a wedgie. This ain't no normal sunset, that's a damn double yoke. You got a second sun trying to sneak in from the bottom like it forgot it was supposed to stay hidden. Tell me that don't look like somebody dropped a pancake on top of another one and said, yeah, that's good enough. Look at the shape. It's folding, dripping like the sky's trying to hold it together with tape. And y'all just out here like,
wow, beautiful.
Beautiful where? That sun looks like it's having an identity crisis in real time. And it's hiding behind the trees like it knows it messed up, like...
Nah, bro, don't film me right now. I'm not in full form. What's the matter with you?
Antarctic humans?
Yeah, you heard that right. An advanced branch of ancient polar hominids been thriving down there for centuries, hidden away because they don't need to leave. Their bodies made for the cold, for the ice, for a world we wouldn't last a day in. They're like us, you know, but not entirely. Snow-white hair, skin so pale it's almost glass, and this isn't some lost, struggling tribe. No, this is a civilization, a full-scale empire, older than anything we've been taught, way older. And who's running the show? the elite families. They've ruled over this frozen kingdom for generations. And what do they control? Resources you won't find anywhere else on this planet. Rare minerals, powerful elements, things they don't want us getting our hands on. Now tell me, why do you think access to Antarctica is so restricted? Why can't we just waltz in, plant a flag, take a look around? It's a delicate game. Secret trades, silent agreements, the world's most ancient empire, locked away from public knowledge.
It's Antarctica once again, like we talked about in season 1, episode 1. And we're still asking, why do you think we have all these restrictions against people visiting Antarctica? And what is it that is being hidden? Because today, if you really want to live a good life, question everything. Ask, why would they deny me the opportunity to go and visit that place? We have very many people who have wanted to visit these places, but they can't because of these treaties by those big nations where people have been restricted. What do they find there? And what do they want us to go see there? Shout out to Beyond Realities Live.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Bloodwood tree leaks like blood to see and work. Shout out to Hidden Files David.
Sir, what do you want? Why do we need school? What level of idiot are you exactly? Hear me out, sir. Okay. Where else are you going to learn English and grammar? What does it matter? Everything's shortened anyway. BRB, LOL, IDK, IKR, GG, ASAP. All right. What about geography? That's why we have these things. History, they're all dead. Ever heard of let the past be the past? Learning how to write.
Bygones be
Texting.
bygones.
Learning other languages like Spanish. 3 words. Dora the Explorer. Music class, Spotify, YouTube. Take your pick. Drama class? You serious? You haven't heard of this thing called TikTok? Should we stop this? No. Let them cook. You've got to be kidding me. What about science? This is the only science I need to know. Sports, VR, and the good old Wii. How about math? Huh? Come on.
Nice one. They don't even hide it anymore. She knows. Looks at it, hands. What? Did you notice anything?
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood. Evolution in my veins. I'm gone. I've been far away. I'm illuminated now. Make a move. Start a waves. I've been breathing on my mind for a long time. I had a vision from the crazy water go inside. Artificially delegated away. I'm your future, blessed present. I'm a spyline. I'm a listening of this illusion. I am not really here. I'm an intrusion. I don't feel the same. I just flow. I don't need gravity. I just need flow. When I move, it's in a quick rumble. I won't ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down, won't set, carry no crumble. When I
Those two players kind of really look so similar. So what does that video mean to you? Does it tell you? I think since I couldn't tell from the Spanish, but all that, I think the video was trying to state that it's like America's controlling the Vatican or the papacy. What do you think it meant? Tell me in the comments.
They say Queen Elizabeth II was a woman who never bowed to anyone. But what if that wasn't entirely true? During an investigation that had nothing to do with this, I came across something that made me stop everything. A photograph, an image that challenges everything we've been told. There she was, Queen Elizabeth II, kneeling. Yes, you heard that right, on her knees. And the question that keeps me up at night is, who was she kneeling before? Who could possibly inspire such a gesture from someone who always...
That was... I think I saw that gentleman looking like Haile Selassie from Ethiopia.
Stood tall, even in front of kings and presidents. To answer that, we need to leave Europe behind. We need to travel, at least in our minds, to a place rarely mentioned in history classes, the forgotten border between Egypt and Sudan, right there, where the Nile cuts through the land like a buried truth waiting to be uncovered. Thousands of years ago, this region was part of a massive empire, a kingdom that stretched across what we now call Israel, Egypt, and beyond. A civilization full of secrets and legendary figures long erased by time. And it's said that among its rulers, there was one so powerful, so legendary, that he may have been the only person the British Queen ever bowed to. Can you imagine the symbolism in that? A direct link between a modern monarchy and a bloodline so ancient, many think it's just a myth. That moment, almost unbelievable, took place before the king of Ethiopia. So now the real question is, what connected these two worlds? And why is no one talking about it? Comment, Queen, if you want me to keep revealing the truth they're hiding from us.
We must use...
So before we go to the next video, we've seen, I only noticed the Prime Minister, that was Haile Selassie, but I saw there was someone else seated on a throne that where the Queen bowed. So that was the King of Ethiopia.
Unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. And I can hear the Osagie for saying, I do not want to be the leader of that country. I simply want unity. And I'm saying that we must live here with one united government.
That is the sound of Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, a man I've met personally, and I've hosted him at the Meru National Polytechnic and was the master of ceremonies for him this year, early this year, I think in the month of March or something. He's a very good person when it comes to Pan-Africanism, and he's, I think, one of the greatest Pan-Africanists I've listened to in a very long time, because he's very knowledgeable and knows a lot about what he says. But there's a guy that we have seen pictures when we were listening to the voice of Professor P.L.O. Lumumba. We saw this guy who is like, I mean, what we Africans, or like people like-minded like me, the kind of leadership that we want to see, that is Traore. I mean, this president is like, I hear there's free hospitals in his country, there's free education. That's in a span of very few years, that a very short period of time that he has been there. But why is it that in Africa achieving some of these things becomes an uphill task, while some leaders just come in and in a few months all this happens? It's because in Africa we place corruption at the helm. Corruption comes first, people come later, or they don't even matter at all. That's why you see all these problems that we have. People are electing their relatives, their friends. People are nominating friends and relatives into these positions so that they can continue sharing the national cake amongst themselves. And what happens to the people? The people are left outside eating the crumbs. They don't really care. Shout out to Traore. You're the greatest. This guy can even travel to France, to Russia like he did last week with his gun holstered. Which other president can be allowed to do that? Just because he believes that Africa is a state just like any other.
It's very important that we all know the Kikuyu tribe of Mount Kenya are truly the chosen people of the Most High. And I say that as an African-American man putting no ego in this information. I just want y'all to know these important factors during these days that we're living in, which is very critical that we connect with the Kikuyu tribe in Mount Kenya for these important factors. I'm going to let y'all know. How do we know? How do I know that the Kikuyu tribe are truly the chosen people of the Most High? Well, I know that for a few different reasons. The first reason being in 1986, we had the Hopi elders all the way over here in the Americas reveal that the Kikuyu tribe were part of the ancient guardianship of the four races of humanity. Way back in the day, they said very sacred tablets were given to the four races, and the most powerful set of tablets were given to the black race in the custodianship of the Kikuyu tribe who currently reside in Mount Kenya. And of course, we know they migrated down there to Mount Kenya from other regions, which
The return of the old gods. Kumbuka pale Vatican, kabla Pope Francis ajaga dunia, kuna pahali alienda kwanza, wakafungua portals na kupatana na icons. Kumbuka icons ilikuwa forces zenye zilileta fake government, serikali na asili mingi duniani yenye sio original. Alitumwa kwenda kuitisha usaidizi, lakini hakufaulu. Hata yeye mwenyewe hakufaulu. Mwanzo dunia lazima ijipange upya. Kumbuka tuko kwa the age of Aquarius, umri wenye unaleta mabadiliko duniani, na haya mabadiliko sio ya furaha na amani, ni mabadiliko ya kukaribisha vita, ugomvi na chuki duniani. Ndiyo maana niliwaambia ni mwisho wa Vatican na Pope Francis ndiye pope wa mwisho. Lakini hapa watu hawaelewi, wakisikia Pope Francis ni pope wa mwisho na wanasikia kuna mwingine anachaguliwa. Hivi ndivyo inamaanisha. Wanasema ancient prophecy lazima itimie. Kwa kupambana kwao, ukifikiria wanaokoa kanisa hawana haja mwanzo, wanapigania nguvu na kufungua mlango wa manabii wa uongo. Ndiyo maana mwenye anaenda kuchaguliwa anaenda kuleta mwanzo mpya mbaya zaidi kuliko wa Pope Francis, yani kwa ufupi Antichrist. Wale wenye wako mle ndani ndio wanaelewa zaidi ni nini kinaendelea. Watu wa kawaida waliona Pope Francis kuaga dunia baada ya Easter ni jambo mzuri, lakini kiundani kuna siri mingi zilizofichwa. Ili uone ni jambo la maana, wakati aliaga dunia mambo mengi yalibadilika, milango za giza zilifunguka, wakajikusanya pamoja. Ungefikiri wanaomboleza, lakini ilikuwa kupanga mambo yao yenye wanajua wenyewe. Sasa hivi wataendelea kupoteza uongozi wao, sababu huu umri ni umri wa kila mtu kujielewa na kuuliza maswali yenye walisema ni hatia kuuliza. Mwanzo ukiuliza unakuwa umekosea sana kwa kuuliza. Wanakuuzia uoga ili uogope, usifikirie chochote. Mwenye atachaguliwa ndiye atakayetuelekeza kwenye njia za giza na kubadilisha mambo mengi duniani.
Okay, nimesikia mambo mengi kuhusu hii mambo ya Pope and all that. Na nimewatch a lot of videos about popes and all this, especially Pope Francis being the last pope. You remember the prophecy of the popes and all that. You can Google that for those of us who haven't heard about the prophecy of the popes, where it was stated that Pope Francis will be the last pope. Now we have Pope Leo. I don't know why, according to many people who do their translations, it comes to the fact that they are stating that Pope Leo is somewhat a guide to this age of Aquarius, where we have the age of Aquarius is the beginning of, or the introduction to another era, and it's not an era that is generally about goodness. It's mostly about the opposite, and this is the era that we're talking about. So I don't know, you just go do the research, tell me what you know about it down in the comments, so that maybe we can engage more.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
Why not?
Because it's freaking me out.
When third world countries are misrepresented, they're likely to be valued less. When Mercator maps exaggerate the importance of Western civilization, when the top of the map is given to the Northern Hemisphere, and the bottom is given to the Southern, then people will tend to adopt top and bottom attitudes.
But wait, where else could you put the Northern Hemisphere but on the top?
On the bottom.
How?
Like
Kenya rules in the house of God.
Amen.
And he has descended there with his hosts, as he did in the days of Ramesses, king of Egypt. And whomsoever rules in Africa according to the ways of this world will soon find themselves in trouble.
And thank you for watching iReact 254. That has been season 1, episode 2 of iReact 254. I've been your host, Afande Junior. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for following and for subscribing. Always tap on the bell button so that you can get notified whenever I drop any more videos. Shout out to my director, Lizangari, and all the friends and all that have been helping, giving me support. We're just beginning, and we're hoping that we'll do it even better. So thank you. Keep watching, share, subscribe, and like for more. Have a blessed day.